My name is Janet Hickey. I'm recently retired for the second time from DePaul University. I have five children and six grandchildren that I'm very proud of, and a real love of the city that I live in now. I love Chicago. I love Chicago history. Because I grew up in the suburbs, I really didn't have that much connection to it, except when I would come downtown and want to stay away from it because it smelled so bad. And even when I started teaching at DePaul, the smell from the river on the Ashland Bridge was overwhelming. Up to that time, the river was actually Chicago sewer. So all waste went in there. And for example, where we're standing now was all one factory or lumber yard. So all waste went into the river, and then it went out to Lake Michigan, which was the city's source of drinking water. And as a result of that, there were plagues, cholera, and malaria throughout the city. So they knew they had to do something. And it was, I think it's still one of the great engineering feats of all time, that they reversed the flow of the river through a series of locks. So they reversed the course of the river, and of course people down south were quite upset because they were now getting Chicago's waste down there. I was in the suburbs, and I remember the torrential rains that we had and watching it on TV. I could see where river would overflow because the rain that day and the day before were just torrential. I hadn't ever seen rain like that before. My biggest concern at the time was it flooded Marshall Field's basement, which is where I always shop when I came downtown. So I was aghast that something had happened to Marshall Field's basement.
Think of a textbook case in bureaucratic bungling, neglect, and poor judgment.
It's just a lot of little things that didn't happen that added up to one big disaster when it finally did happen.
Those changes may have led the tunnel to collapse. The original specs called for steel pipe pilings, which displace some of the river bottom into the pipe as they're pounded in. For some reason, the city called instead for wooden timber pilings, which increased the pressure on the river bottom and the tunnel below.
But I think it woke up the city leaders to the fact that they have to keep the infrastructure up to date, and they can't just ignore problems as they arise. I think respect it, just continue to do some of the things we already do in terms of recycling and being aware of our use of plastic. I'm hoping that by the time my grandchildren are in college, maybe they'd be able to enjoy the river even more. And they're of a generation that's so ecologically aware. Even though they're children now, they're very ecologically aware. So I'm hoping that as they get older, they will become part of the reason the river gets better.